All right, y'all, so I got some interesting news on the Russia-Ukraine war front. So this is in the Daily Mail, but this has been reported elsewhere as well. This is kind of a big story that's floating around. Could the end of the Ukraine war be in sight? U.S. is, quote, pressuring Vladimir Zelensky to drop his ban on talks with Putin and negotiate an end to the fighting amid growing fears of nuclear war, new report claims. So now on that headline, we go, oh, shit, that's a good thing. You know, anything that kind of gets us away from nuclear war, I'll sign up for. I'm on board for. However, the reality is a little bit worse than how that headline portrays it. So here's what they say. The U.S. is privately encouraging Vladimir Zelensky to drop his ban on talks with Vladimir Putin and negotiate an end to the fighting with the Russians amid growing fears of nuclear war, a new report has claimed. U.S. officials have said that the request by the Biden administration is not to push Ukraine to the negotiating table, but ensure Kyiv maintains the support of its international backers. People familiar with the discussions are wary that Zelensky's ban on talks with the Russian president has created concern in parts of Europe, Africa, and Latin America, where the war's effects are being felt the most. Several nations are worried about fueling a war for many years, which has already taken a toll on the world economy and has devastating consequences on the cost and availability of food and fuel. Ukraine fatigue is a real thing for some of our partners, one U.S. official told the Washington Post. Yeah, so it was the Washington Post that originally reported this. And you're seeing the real reason why they're doing it. It's kind of slowly revealing itself in this article. It comes after the U.S. admitted it is increasingly concerned over Moscow's nuclear saber-rattling after it emerged top Russian military officials discussed nuking Ukraine. The New York Times report, which cited unnamed U.S. officials, said Putin did not take part in the discussions, and there was no indication that the Russian military had decided to deploy the weapons. White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby said, quote, "We have grown increasingly concerned about the potential as these months have gone on." Okay, so now, the good news is, though, there is top U.S. officials are in conversation with top Russian officials, and there was a while there where they weren't, or we didn't know if they were, and that was terrifying, because even during the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis, you had a line of communication between the Kremlin and the White House, because, you know, for obvious reasons, you kind of need to do that, right? You don't want any sort of miscommunication to lead to a worst-case scenario. But look, the reality of the situation is this. This is more of a PR move. This is more about optics. This is the United States realizing like, oh shit, we're losing some of our allies because the war is dragging on and it's affecting grain production. It's affecting fuel production. It's leading to the cost of gas skyrocketing, the cost of food skyrocketing. There's global economic woes associated with this. There's now fears of nuclear weapon use. And so what the U.S. is trying to do is show our allies, like, us, bro, look, we're totally reasonable, bro, and so we want negotiation and diplomacy, and we want to end this and get everything back to normal for everybody, so we're telling Zelensky, like, you got to sit across the table from Putin, man, you got to talk it out, because this is what you got to do, it's the right thing to do. But in reality, they're saying, like, this is not to actually do, like, get a settlement, get a deal, and actually avert further war. It's more of a PR move to give the appearance of being reasonable, being above the fray, and working something out. And so, I mean, I guess I'll give them half credit, right? Because they're obviously intelligent enough to realize that they're losing global partners for good reason. But the fact that it's not actually in service of trying to find a way out, that's not good. That's not good. Now, of course, to be fair, it's not like Putin is, you know, a partner for peace in this situation. Like, he probably still has his maximalist demands on the table. So he would be, you know, he would be in the way either way, but you gotta have the conversation. You gotta talk it out. You gotta make sure there's no miscommunication. And it looks to me like this is about managing optics. It's about managing optics. It is increasingly unsettling in terms of the degree to which he feels he has to continue to stretch to prosecute this war, he said. At the same time, Kirby reiterated Washington sees no indications that Russia is making preparations to use nuclear weapons, adding that U.S. intelligence does not necessarily see or know everything. The U.S. has been warning Moscow for weeks over public comments from top Russian officials that they could use nuclear weapons in Ukraine in certain cases, particularly if they felt there was a threat to Russian territorial integrity. And look, this is another reason why Biden has drawn some lines with the Ukrainians in terms of what kind of armament we give them. Because they wanted our longest range of missiles, and Biden said, no, I'm not doing that because you could use that to attack Russian territory. That's an escalation. That is World War III. Not okay. They wanted fighter jets. Biden said no. They wanted a no-fly zone. Biden said no. So Biden is attempting to do this thing where, like, he matches without escalating, right? Like, it's a message of, we're not going to let you roll over Ukraine, but also we don't want World War III. He's trying to walk that line. You could disagree with how he's gone about it. I mean, we've given $80 billion in weapons to Ukraine, but I don't think you can contest that that's what he's doing. I think that is what he's doing, right? So, but anyway, this is the first time that I've seen since the war began, like, hey, let's maybe talk this out, which is a good thing. But again, I think it's more just for managing optics and a PR move to try to say to the world, like, no, we're the good guys. We're the good guys. See, we want to talk, bro. That's what we want to do. So, look, the fact of the matter is, it was an illegal and offensive invasion by Russia against Ukraine. Ukraine did not attack Russia. They weren't going to attack Russia. This is rank imperialism from Vladimir Putin. But the fact of the matter is, when you're dealing with nuclear weapons and those are the stakes, it's sort of a game changer. So you always need to have that line of communication open, and you always need to try to find an off-ramp, because you don't want some allegedly sick old person who's psychologically off, an old authoritarian, to make that decision, which we all fear. And look, I think that is on the table. If you believe our own intelligence officials, 25% chance of nuclear war, that's fucking devastatingly terrifying. That's insane. So my recommendation is, don't make the negotiation about optics. Make it more about reality. Actually talk and try to find a way out of this thing for the sake of the world. Not just our allies, but yes, for them too, but for the sake of the entire world. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.